Okay, loves, you're going to need to stop what you're doing for a second because what I'm about to tell you, it's going to make you angry. And I think that's exactly the point. And that's just kind of what we do here in the Feminine Rebellion, right? We bring things to the surface so you can see them for real. So women are being failed by the American health system. And it's not occasionally, and it's not in isolated cases. It's systematically, routinely, lethally. Women's pain is being dismissed, minimized, and flat out ignored. And Black women are dying from it at rates that should be front page news every single day. Today's guest has built her entire career on saying that thing out loud, loudly, precisely, and without apology. Anushay Hossain is the author of The Pain Gap: How Sexism and Racism in Healthcare Kill Women. A feminist policy analyst, a regular voice on CNN, MSNBC, and PBS, and the host of the Pain Gap podcast, which is now in the top 10% of podcasts worldwide. In 2025, she launched her Substack, Anushay's Point, and it became one of the top 100 health political newsletters almost immediately. She grew up in Bangladesh watching women die in childbirth. Her mom was a feminist activist and a member of parliament. Her father gave up a seat so her mother could run. She was raised in a home where women's rights, they weren't just discussed over the dinner table, they were actually lived. And then she came to America expecting the best healthcare in the world and almost died giving childbirth here. And that experience didn't break her. It lit a fucking fire, and we were all better for it. Anushay Hossain, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Feminine Rebellion. I have been waiting for this conversation. Let's dive in. Anushay, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you with us today. You are a force. You are a force of nature. And I feel so incredibly privileged to be sitting virtually across from you. I wish we were in the same room and we were just like sipping tea and chatting, but we'll try to make this like as much like that as possible. And this is the first time we've ever officially met. So I have a million questions, but I want to start at the beginning because your story, your history, your family that you grew up with in Bangladesh, it's riveting. And I think it points to something that I'm often talking about with the power of doing this work and the ripple effect of being like a fierce feminine rebel, of being an activist. So I want to go back to Bangladesh because your origin story is unlike any other origin story I've ever heard. Your mother was a feminist activist, a magazine founder, a member of parliament. What? Your father gave her a parliamentary seat to run on? You did your homework in the back office of the country's first women's rights magazine. I have chills just thinking about that. Like, did you know as a little girl how different that was? Did you understand what you were being given?
I love that so much. First of all, it was so hard for me to be that quiet while you spoke such kind things about me because I'm a huge fan and I'm so grateful for your podcast and this platform that you have created, which is more important than ever. Going back to Bangladesh, you know, I'm at a stage in my life now because I'm in perimenopause and my estrogen is declining. I'm just like, the filters are even more off than they were
Yeah,
before. I didn't know I had any.
we love that.
So it's really easy to read about my childhood. And when I write about it in Bangladesh, as very privileged and so fortunate, and I had so many gifts and opportunities, but it was a really, really traumatic and difficult childhood within all that privilege. So And I've just only realized that a lot of times when I tell these stories, it's very easy to make my parents sound like heroes, which they were in their own ways, but they were also public figures and then they had their private family life. I did know that I was very, very privileged just because the wealth discrepancies in Bangladesh are so vast and it's even more stark now. But back then, oh my God, I mean, I'm 46. Back then, it was even starker, and the country was really just, we just got our independence from Pakistan in 1971. I was born in 1980. So really this country is a brand new, is a baby too. I knew I was privileged in that there was no health care, even though I didn't understand what that it's a system. I knew that if you got sick, or if you got injured, you better know somebody rich and important.
Mm,
I think I
mm,
understood that as a little girl because my mom had access to healthcare because she was married to my father, who was a rich and
mm,
powerful man. But my mom had to provide, and she didn't have to. She did. A lot of families don't provide healthcare for her staff. I mean,
mm.
this is an older culture, so there's lots of household staff. And that's really how the story of my
Oh,
childhood nanny opens the book because when I first started writing the book, I thought I was going to start with my story, but that was not the first maternal death
yeah.
in my
And let's
life.
let's name her
Let's name
Wasifa.
her. Was fun. You know what? It's so funny.
Wasifa.
I think I spelt the name wrong in it because I still spell it the way I did as a child, I think. But it's Wazifa is her name. I should have put a Z in there.
Okay, Wasifa.
Wazifa, yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. I was just thinking about her this morning because I keep thinking about what a kick she probably would have gotten from this. She was an illiterate, uneducated woman from the village who come into the cities to look for work. Usually, the better family home they can get in, the more healthcare and resources for them. We managed her healthcare, and she had really bad diabetes her whole life, really high risk pregnancies. Doctor really didn't want her to get pregnant. She had a lot of pressure from her really abusive alcoholic husband, a son to give birth to a son. I mean, these
Yeah,
cultural hangovers are still
yeah, ages.
very present. So you can imagine 46 years ago, it's a Bangladeshi woman and her husband wants a son. She better give him one. Anyway, she died in childbirth. Honestly, I think even though it took me so long from when that incident happened to my own journey, that was a really devastating. I'm gonna start crying. I don't
That's
know why
okay.
I still can't talk about Wazifa with that just by it. She is
Yeah.
so deep in my heart. I actually recently realized that she was my maternal figure.
Mm,
She was actually my mother.
mm.
But when she died in childbirth, it just forever changed me. I don't think at 15 I was like, well, I'm going to write this book about the systemic violence against women baked into healthcare around the world. But I never was able to look at statistics and numbers of women dying without ever understanding that these numbers are women. There's a real woman behind each of those numbers. And I feel like people like to say, oh, she's a real woman. She was a sister, a wife, a daughter. No, she was a person. She was
Yes.
a human before all those labels and roles. So Wazifa was my childhood nanny who died in childbirth. And I carry her with me. I carry her with me. I really do.
If she's here today, we can call her in.
Really. And yeah, and her story made me a writer. I carried it with me for a long time before I
Mm,
shared it. And
mm,
yeah, I hope
mm.
she's proud of me. I'm proud of her.
I'm sure she's proud of you. My whole body is lighting up, like, I have, like, chills. The hair on my arms is straight up right now, so
Well, I am a really ugly crier, so I'm just gonna wipe away my tears.
no, we love the ugly cry. No, we don't
I'm
like
queen of
tears here.
ugly cry.
Yeah,
Queen of ugly
bring it,
cry.
bring it.
Bring it. Okay, I will.
So you grew up watching women die, and
Yes.
you came to America. How old were you when you came?
I was 18. I got into UVA. Hey, early decision UVA.
Boom! That's what we're talking about it. So she EDs, she gets into UVA, she comes to America expecting, like, the best healthcare in the world, and you nearly died
Yeah.
giving birth here.
Well,
Like,
yeah. Well, you know what's crazy? I was working in women's health and rights. I was a lobbyist for working on global health legislation with absolutely no idea about America's maternal health crisis. I didn't think it was possible to die giving birth in America, because when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s in Bangladesh, another thing that was happening was America was kind of creating the concept of public health for us.
mm,
We were a post-war society, basically. And it was all about empowering women, educating women,
mm.
giving them access to family planning and birth control. Because guess what, Natty? Did you know that most women don't want to have 8, 9, 10 kids by the time they're in their early 20s and die? I did not know that. No. So women will choose to have smaller families on their own. They'll be more educated, they have higher paying jobs. All these great things that I'm seeing being systematically dismantled in America. But growing up with that, I just couldn't imagine that, because women were dying in childbirth. It sounds dramatic, but all around me. It was in
Yeah.
the papers, it was in our home. A really big Bollywood actress died when I was a young girl in childbirth. Like, so I knew, I just, maternal, it's so funny that took me as long as it did to come back to this issue, because it was always there.
Well, and
It was always there.
an embodied thing. It's a personal experience, right? So do you feel comfortable telling us about your birthing experience? I mean, I know you share it in the book, but
Yeah. I
it
mean,
seems like a pivotal moment.
it was a pivotal moment. And again, much like the story of my nanny that I kept to myself for a while, I kept this story to myself for a while. I
Mm,
really thought, just because, I mean, even while I was dying in childbirth in America, there was a point where I was like, I'm not going to die. I am in Washington, D.C. Like, I kept telling myself that it was impossible. But my birth story is basically, after a long, and the whole experience and process was negligent. I
mhm,
think back to that day every day. I think back to that day every day. And remember that doctor, because after everything, when they finally decided to give me an emergency C section, when they wheeled me into the operating theater, that guy didn't, at first, I had never seen this doctor before. You don't always get to deliver with your doctor. Something all
correct.
women should know. So I don't even know who this man is. And this is after 33 hours of labor. My epidural was not hooked up. So even though they thought I was getting pain management, I wasn't. I had 104 fever. I'm shaking. They got to do the C section fast. And this man is like, he didn't believe that I was in pain. He told me to walk myself from the stretcher, the bed that I'm on. And I was so polite to this man. Like, Natty, you don't have to know me to know that I will tell you to go F yourself. I was
Mm.
so scared. I was so scared. I was like, this man's going to kill me. He can kill me. And I was so polite to him. I was so kind to him. And he just wouldn't believe me. Finally, he allowed 2 nurses to help me onto the bed. Can you imagine? I have a baby stuck in between my legs. My labor is not progressing. This guy's like, get up from the stretcher and walk.
I can't. My God.
But the other thing is, I just remember being like, is this guy sexist? Is this guy racist? And I'm in my most vulnerable state. And I'm just like, he could kill me. I
I mean, I
knew
think
that
the
he did not
answer to
see
those
me.
2 questions, Anushay, is yes and yes.
Yeah.
Is he racist and is he sexist?
Yeah. And
Yes.
to be reduced to that, like, in my life, there's so many insane microaggressions that just happen on the daily. And so many times I'm just like, I'm too educated for this. I'm too
Yeah.
educated for this shitty experience and for this level of racism. But I really could not. The worst thing I think about that trauma is that I didn't have anyone advocating for myself, and I couldn't do it myself either,
Mm, mm.
because
Which
I
is
had a baby stuck in between my legs.
I mean, which is why you're doing the work you're doing today. It's like all of those moments cumulatively, I feel like have gotten you to write. So let's talk about the pain gap.
Let's talk about the
Let's talk
pain
about the
gap.
pain gap. What is the pain gap? Because I want the women listening, who've been told she's anxious, dramatic, or, just aging naturally to understand what's actually happening to her.
Oh, well, the pain gap, first of all, we're not imagining it, and you're not being hysterical. The pain gap is the difference in how we diagnose, treat, and believe men's pain versus women's pain. And one of the most fabulous, fabulous, fascinating things that happened, I think, while writing this book was I started with women. By
Mm.
the way, once you get the book deal, guys, it's really scary because you actually have to write the book. So I was like, shit, where am I going to start? And I started with women and it was incredible, Natty. Can I tell you? Every woman knew a woman, or every woman had a doctor's story, or knew a woman who had a doctor's story. These stories were so common. And
That's
how
true.
women keep their trauma to themselves, thinking it was just them. And I was one of those women. I was one of those
Wow.
women. When I started talking and I started sharing my story, the amount of women who were like, me too. Let me tell you what happened to me. Let me tell you what happened to a friend of mine in that hospital. And this is one of the best hospitals in Washington, D.C. I have to stipulate this just because a lot of times people are like, well, maybe he doesn't have good health insurance and went to a bad. No, this happened at a really good
Mhm.
hospital. So that is what the pain gap is. But also, the larger metaphor for it is, why do we have such high tolerance for women's suffering?
Right?
For women suffering anything, I have a little headache. We'll just deal with it too. I have a throbbing migraine, which is a brain tumor. Nobody was giving me a freaking CT scan, or we can't even get believed through the emergency room doors. And there's studies now that show that women wait longer to be seen when presenting even the same symptoms as men, that women are 5 times more likely to be dismissed mid heart attack. So many things that women already knew. Now we have the studies to back. But what was really unacceptable to me, unacceptable with all the medical misogyny, daily, everyday misogyny and sexism, was being dismissed to death over our health care. Your inability to believe me is going to kill me.
And
And
it's killing women every day.
and it's killing women every day. It's actually happening. It's unacceptable. And it goes back to my childhood nanny. When you read women of color are 3 to 4 times more likely dying in childbirth in America. Okay, well, put another way, that's 243% more likely. Who are these women? They are leaving behind families, children. Why did Beyonce almost have a near miss pregnancy, or Serena
Right?
Williams? Like, so you have to ask, what is going on? Because we're not talking about small differences. We're talking about massive differences. We're not talking about some women falling through the healthcare cracks. We're talking about a lot. And you know what else? It's completely unnecessary and
Completely.
completely preventable. The vast majority of these cases. I would say one of the most interesting things or surprises about the pain gap is that while writing about the pain gap, I stumbled into the knowledge gap, the lack of research in women's health.
Oh, yeah.
Serious. And then the credibility gap. Women are not believed about our bodies. It is so
So
fascinating.
this
Our
is so
bodies,
you
our symptoms. It's unbelievable.
well, we're hysteric, right? So
Yeah.
one part of your book that I loved, you trace the word hysteria all the way back to Hippocrates, right? The idea
Yeah.
that the uterus, I mean, this is I had heard this before, and when I read it again, I was like, this is nuts. Okay. The uterus was a free floating, wandering animal that moved through the female body, causing problems. Now, obviously, that pseudoscience was debunked eventually, but the conditioning wasn't, right? You write that women have been socialized to be the perfect patient, quiet, compliant, and not making a fuss. But obviously, that conditioning has worked against us,
Yes.
right? So
That conditioning.
how do we break it? I mean, I how do we break the conditioning?
That's a great question. It's really difficult to break the conditioning, but can I tell you, we all can't wait until perimenopause and the drop in estrogen.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like it's easier in middle age because it's in midlife. It's happening to me. I'm just like, why did I do that? No, it shouldn't be that way. And can I
Mm-mm.
tell you, if this is something that I have learned, which I never knew, if your doctor or medical provider or your therapist or anybody who's in charge of your health doesn't believe you, find another provider. I know it's difficult and we have a whole insurance system to work around, but you got to start there because you're going to spend more energy trying to convince this person to believe you than, oh my God, and what more can you do? So I feel like more women need to, the onus should not be on women, just like in sexual
Yeah.
assault. It's the same with medical misogyny and trauma. No, it should not be on us. It's not our responsibility to be believed, to make sure we don't get raped. But until the system catches up, it has to be. You know why? A lot of these doctors aren't trained.
No,
Women,
none of
I
them
mean,
are.
menopause, what's so fascinating about menopause and this incredible discussion we're having with it is this really kind of exposes everything that's wrong with women's health. Why aren't we taught about the potentially decade-long transition to menopause, which is perimenopause? Why aren't we taught our hormonal health? Why aren't we taught that estrogen is not just a sex hormone? It protects the heart, it protects the brain, women and heart disease. So these are really, really serious topics. So if I just I lost my train of thought, but my point is the less information that we have, the less
Yeah.
power we have. So I always say the onus shouldn't be on women, but you have to be your own best educated advocate or bring somebody with you. It can be the difference between life and death because I mean, it w- the legacy of hysteria is that it still exists. It still impacts how a woman is diagnosed if she gets a diagnosis. We're still telling women that they're hysterical. We're just changing our language for it.
And you said something, and I don't know where I wrote it down, but you wrote something about like, like channeling the hysteria.
Yes, you know what? I'm glad you reminded me of that. I feel like we need to be more hysterical. I
Right?
actually all this hysteria drama. Thanks Hippocrates. Thanks to all. By the way, all those Greek philosophers are the biggest misogynists like in the
Yeah,
world.
right? They're
Plato, like
old white
all of
men.
them. Thank you, old white Greek men, for uh for telling us about the uterus and
Right.
for this is another conversation, but I really feel like we need all men out of women's health. They're killing
Thank
us
you.
too, from policy to, oh my goodness, just what's happening in America, from policy to emergency contraception to
Like, get out.
life saving abortions. Just get out of policy, get out of our uteruses, and get out of our vaginas. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, they've been there for so long. And I think Hippocrates is a great example of how dangerous it is and how we have really been reduced to our wombs. Guess
Yes.
what? Did you know that women's health is more than having babies, Natty? Did you know
Yes,
that?
I
We're
did.
humans.
I just learned. I mean,
We're
I'm
full
thinking back to my
beings.
own childbirth of my first kid. I was only 28 years old, and I was living in Hong Kong at the time, and I was at, like, the fanciest private hospital, and I was, like, 9.5 centimeters dilated, and I was wanted to stand up, and I wasn't on drugs. My birth came really, really fast. I wanted so badly to get off the bed and move around and, like, squat. My body was, like, just wanting to squat, and the doctor was like, "No!" He kept pushing me back on the bed like I had to give birth on my back, and I was like, "I can't, I won't." But I ended up it took so much longer because he wouldn't let me get off the bed, and I wasn't, like, hooked up to anything.
Yeah.
And I think back to that and I'm like, I will be, if my daughters have children, I will be in that room with them
Oh,
advocating for them.
oh my God. I wish so much that I had had a doula for my
Yeah.
birth. But you know what? I didn't even know that they existed back then. And that is so violent. This is very similar to the actress from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm going to forget her name, but she had a really traumatic birth experience where her baby was crowned and they pushed the baby back in. I just can't believe what a natural force your body is that is telling you
Right?
to get up and squat. Your
Yes.
baby would have just come out. Hello,
Right?
gravity.
Exactly.
But we
So,
are made to birth on our backs because it's easier for
of
the
course,
doctors.
they can control it. So I want to circle back because you're unequivocal about this. Black women in America are dying at catastrophic rates from preventative causes, whether it's childbirth, pain management, or just in diagnosis. But I mean, that's beyond a pain gap. That is like,
That is a humanity gap.
yeah, it's a chasm. It's a
There's
chasm.
You know
It's
what's so sad though, Natty? When I stumbled upon just how big it was, I have to stop saying stumble. When I came across this and deeply, deeply, deeply researched it, because it's so fascinating. For a really long time, I was like, people don't know, people don't understand. If they have all the information and the history and the statistics and the facts and see how these policies are impacting women's lives, and they're going to change. And now, under this administration, for the past year and a half, I'm like, this is by design. This is the way it's supposed to
Yeah.
be. The system
Yes.
is actually functioning perfectly. It's supposed to value some lives much, much more.
Yes.
What are the roots of this country? And so many people are offended by the word racism in my title. So many people are offended by how much I talk about race and racism in my work. And I think finally, in the past year and a half, I understand why. I understand why, because I think deep down, a lot of people know that your life is not worth more, or as
Mm.
your life is not equal. It's not,
Mm.
because what do you say to these women? I have to keep bringing up Beyonce and Serena Williams, because these are two of the most richest, powerful Black women in America. Why did they have such traumatic experiences? And then you have these studies coming out. A Black woman with a college degree or higher is 5 times more likely to die giving birth in America than her white counterpart with a high school degree. And then the New York Times came up with a massive study that says even wealth, money, does not protect Black Americans in America when they enter the healthcare system. So a lot of, I feel like, where we're at now is reimagination, and something that America has done, and you can debate me on race and everything as much as you want. Something America has done is completely remove women, not only from the healthcare system. I mean, there's a couple of us there. Of course, there's female doctors, nurses. Removed us from the birthing process.
Completely.
Midwives. Hello? There are no
Right.
women in the birthing process in America. It is hospital, C-section, medication,
Yep.
monitors, wires, tubes.
Make it quick.
Make it quick, and then maybe a $40,000 medical debt if you were uninsured, or if your insurance doesn't cover XYZ. But America's maternal health crisis is a Black maternal health crisis. And
Mm.
I think that is why it has been allowed to continue. It is Black
Yeah.
women who are dying the most, needlessly, completely preventable. And as I always say, if something is happening to white women, and this is not to say white women are not dying and giving birth in America, white women are
Yeah.
dying too. It's bad for everyone. It's good for some really, really rich folks.
Well, what do you want white women to know? Because, like, I looked at my stats before this podcast, and this is like 81% white women.
Yeah.
So, like, so
White women, I want you to know a lot of stuff. And I do think that white women are having a kind of awakening. This is what I wanted to say, that if something is bad for white women in
yeah,
America, it's so much worse
that's it.
for the rest of
That's
us.
it. That's it.
What I want to tell white women is, white women, I love you. Why stop voting with your race? Start voting
Exactly.
with your gender. We need you guys so much. The second most powerful people in America are white women. But a
Yeah,
lot of them, hey, who doesn't like privilege? They like their privilege. You guys have a
exactly.
lot of it. I mean, they don't want to be separated at the border or by ICE and the mothers and daughters the way
Right.
immigrant moms are.
They have direct
So
access, so they protect it.
and then I think a lot of them have sons who are just like, hey, why not? I mean, I went to UVA. I saw that with so many of, I mean, the whole entire Greek system I thought was just another South Asian
Oh,
marriage industry.
right.
But white women, we really need you. White women have a lot of power, and you guys have to stand up now. They're trying to take
Yeah.
the vote away from us. Hello, the SAVE
I
Act is
know.
real. And I know people are like, oh, never pass, blah, blah. Listen, the precedent is behind it.
Exactly.
He's
And
gonna
that is
shove it down
scary.
your throat. Yeah.
And that
But
is scary.
but you know what? This is the thing, and I love that you asked this. What can we say to white women? We can say so much. We can say so much. Stop always looking at your situation and then being like, well, the women in Iran have it worse. Or at least it's not like in Afghanistan. We got it.
Oof,
Yeah. No,
oof,
stop
oof,
doing that. Stop doing
oof.
that. One thing that white women have, I don't know what the government system is going to look like if we survive this
Yeah.
administration, but something that white people have to remember is that they can change policy.
Yes.
They can change policy.
Yes.
They will actually be higher up there. And they
Yes.
know how the system works. And you
So
have so many other men that you can kind of pull in, because it's, once again, not all on women. We need all the good white men too. I know they're not all MAGA, but where are they?
yeah,
Why don't
where
they
are
speak
they?
up? One thing that has really become clear to me in the past year and a half, this is why I'm saying white women, come join us, is that men actually, they are the protectors and defenders of each other.
Exactly. Boom. Of each other.
It took me 46 years to figure that out. I'm like, how do they keep getting this reputation? They are not the protectors and providers. You know who are providers? Women are providers. We're literally
Yes.
providing after we give birth. Oh my God, our body actually makes the food that the baby needs. So I think white women, I think it's really difficult to talk about race in America. Nobody wants to talk about it. And now we are
Mm.
where we are. But I think until white women join and they're doing it, they're doing it. They're doing it. I gotta say, hallelujah, white women.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some of
but
us.
but it needs to be louder. It can't just
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, you go ahead first. You go in the water first." At this time, I mean, we just did an episode on with Shannon Watts about what does too political mean? Everything is political. Here's another thing I'll tell white
Agreed.
women. Everything is political, whether you know it or not. And this thing about I'm not going to do politics, I love this quote. This is not my quote, but I love it. Politics is going to do you.
So good.
And here we are. We could be losing the vote. People need to wake the fuck up. If it's a bunch of black and
Yes.
brown women like having a mass like march, oh my God, they're gonna call ICE and we're all gonna get arrested. We need
Totally.
the white people out there. We've been seeing this with the No Kings marches and a lot of the anti whatever your stance is on the political realm.
I
I'm
think you
always
know
for
mine.
yeah. I'm like, I'm always for women's rights, so whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we need you guys. Because
Yeah.
I really believe a lot of these No Kings protests have had so little police presence,
Totally.
arrests, anything. It's because it's white people. And by the way,
Yeah.
you guys can be more violent. And you still
Yeah, we
won't get
can.
arrested. Look at Gen 6.
Right?
Take advantage of your race, but stop voting with it. Understand that there's enough for all of us. If I'm doing well, Maddie, it doesn't mean that you're going to be shit. Why don't we
No.
both be great together?
It's not a zero-sum game.
And to not, I don't know. I mean, I think it's really, I know I talk about white women a lot. I've given them a hard time.
You should.
But I love them. They're all my friends. And I wouldn't be where I am today without the incredible white women in my lives. But, and I don't, you guys are not a monolith, but you are a voting bloc.
Yes, we are.
And if we still have a democracy to save, I think it will be critical because
But it is on us.
it is on us because we can start saying no.
But it's on the white women. It's on the white women to fix this.
Tell your husband, I mean, Stephen Miller's wife is not doing a very good job. No offense. But
Yeah.
tell your husband he is being a dick. And
Yes.
he is killing women and children for absolutely no reason. And just, it's all the things that people say. Actually, I'll tell you something else. Because I'm thinking
Yeah.
about a lot of different kinds of white women that I know. Make a woman of color friend. Make a black friend. Make a friend who doesn't look anything like you. You will have better food and your mind will be blown.
You
Your food dinners will improve. There will be seasoning in your meals for your families. And
everyone will be happier for it.
everyone will be better for it.
There's better music too.
There is. And hello, did you see Jimmy Fallon?
Right?
My God, that Punjabi guest I've been listening to on repeat.
That was amazing.
I just feel like we're just at a time now. Like I need the women in my life.
Me too.
I need them. I want more. I was even telling my producer, I don't want like episodes anymore. I want a movement and I want it to be women because I don't want to hear from the guys anymore. And sorry if I'm being reverse sexist or whatever. And I understand that it's
No.
not all men, but it's a hell of a
If I
lot of
hear
them.
that one more
I
time,
hate that. I get that shit all the time though.
so much. It's
It's-
not all men.
It's in my inbox. You don't know how I want to respond.
What does that even mean?
I'm like, delete, because you don't want me to answer you back.
I'm like, do more.
Do more. Not all men. Oh, it's the same people that said all lives matter.
Oh God, that's the worst. That is the
It's
worst.
like, can we talk about why we're focusing on Black lives
Yeah,
though?
that's not what we're talking about. And of course, I mean, it's not that we don't believe all lives matter, but this is a different fucking movement. This is
Different movement. And I really feel like it's so funny because everything people say about you when you identify as a feminist, especially in your younger years as a younger woman. Now I'm 46 and I'm like, yeah, it is all true. I am angry. I hate men.
yeah.
Fucking shit up. And even though I'm married, I love the good ones. Where are they? Why are we had such a great interview on my show. I think it was women in America, and one of the oh god, I guess I can call her a feminist writer, activist, amazing woman said, "I don't want men as my allies. I want accomplices."
Yes.
It's so true. Why
Yeah.
aren't you just as angry about it being okay to rape like
Oh my
children?
god. I just okay, I'm just gonna get really, like, personal here. My husband and
Please.
I, on April 16th, I woke up and I read the CNN report,
The
like,
Rape Academy?
while I was drinking my coffee. April 16th happened to be my wedding anniversary, and my husband and I had, like, this beautiful we both were taking the days off from work, and we had this beautiful day planned. We were gonna go look at some art. We were gonna have, lunch together, and he wanted me to table my emotions for the day so we could have a nice day. And this is the biggest fight we've ever gotten into. Now, my husband calls himself a feminist. He's a Muslim immigrant. He knows what it feels like to be unseen. And yet he's saying these things to me. I was like, you're one of them. You're one of them. Unless you are raging and screaming and hitting pillows like I am right now, you are against me. You are against me.
Oh,
And like
I
we
see.
had this chasm, this crazy rift during the day. And it wasn't until the next morning I slept in the guest bedroom. I was like, get the fuck away
Away
from
from
me.
me.
Get the fuck away from me. And then one of my girlfriends, I was talking to her and she had a similar experience with her husband. And she said, we need to get these men on a call together.
But it's not just your and her husband's.
Of course not. It's everywhere. And I'm married a man who marches in women's rights marches,
Yeah.
like who wears feminist t-shirts.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But Natty, this is what I want to ask you. Because my husband is like that too. He's great. He didn't think it was a big thing, big enough deal when Pam Bondi said that thing about the stock market and
yeah.
wouldn't look at the survivors. But I also had this moment where I was like, what do you mean you don't think that is completely fucking unacceptable? But what I wanted to say was, where are they? Why aren't they angry?
And why aren't they organizing a march for us?
Yeah, and I don't wanna hear this, "Oh, I have a daughter, my wife's a fe" No! Why
Yeah.
aren't you livid? And by the way, you should care about women's safe you don't have to have a mother, daughter, or sister to freaking care about I hate it when men say, "Ever
Yeah.
since I became a father, now I give a shit." Great. I just feel like yeah, but I think this is not even like a discussion. It's kind of like the answer to that question, "Why aren't men angry?" That is the answer. I don't think they think it's
Yeah.
such a big deal.
Exactly. Well, this is the way it's always been.
This is a big fucking problem though, because it is the biggest deal. It
Yes.
is the biggest deal. What they're trying to normalize now, which is so dangerous and women's health is going to completely suffer and is already suffering, is a complete dehumanization of women.
Mhm.
Because then you're going to be okay with women dying because EMTALA can't be enforced in hospital hallways being denied life-saving abortions, and you're going to think it's okay that there is a detention center in Texas that is only filled with 13 and 15-year-old pregnant rape victims,
Mm.
but they're being detained in Texas where there's like no health care, no abortion. Why? Now there's rumors that these agents are raping these girls. A lot of them got pregnant because they're raped on their way to the United
Oh,
States. Like, why? Choose your anger. And it
exactly.
is the time to be angry. I was chastised my whole life for my anger. I'm too angry, too loud, I talk too much, and
Mm,
all those things
mm,
are true. And now I'm just like, I'm angry.
exactly.
And if
And
we don't,
you
yeah,
can thank the world for my fucking anger. Like,
yes.
I
And
mean,
the thing
come
is, initially, I was like, this time last year, because even things are happening so fast, how fast your rights can be rolled up in the world's richest democracy.
yeah.
How fast? I could not have. have imagined that we would be here
Yeah,
where we
18
are
months in.
18 months in. And I'm like, wow. Because at one point I was like, they're trying to take us back. Women are not going to go back. And now I'm like, oh my God, they're going to make us go back. They're going to kill us. They're going to
Yes.
beat the shit out of us, take away everything, pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen. And by the way, they're looking at no fault divorce also to be
Ugh.
taken away. So it is really scary. Be angry now, because
Mm.
I think also women forget that we weren't given our rights. We weren't given the right to go to college, to vote, to open a bank account without a
We
man.
fucking fought for
We
it.
fucking fought for it. We fought so, even the Voting Rights Act. It
And
just
you know what? You know who
people, yeah,
voted for it? Black women,
black women. Yes.
right? So it's like you can actually thank Black women for your right to vote.
Well, that's also something in the core of my book and the core of a lot of my talks is listen to Black women, trust Black women. But we can't. We cannot do that. We can't even trust women. Women don't even believe ourselves or each
Yeah.
other. I mean, the credibility gap is really real. But what it is about Black women, it's like Malcolm X said, the most
Uh-huh.
disrespected, hated, unprotected person in America is the Black woman. And it
Yeah.
is so true. But can I tell you, Black women gave birth to America. They midwifed America.
They did.
Literally, enslaved Black women, immigrant women, bringing their midwifery knowledge and skills. So that is a whole other podcast, but respect and bow down to Black women. But
Yeah.
again, coming back to Black maternal mortality, the fact that they're being allowed to be essentially murdered and killed at this rate is something. There,
So there's like this medical myth, right? The medical myth that Black women don't feel pain the same way,
yeah, this is so
right?
racist. I don't even know
I
if I
mean,
can
it's
speak
so
about it,
gross.
but it's true. And it's very, very recent. Black people don't feel pain. Their skin is thicker. They have a higher pain tolerance. Their nerve endings are different. And a lot of this comes from, of course, time of slavery and also J. Marion Sims. But there are still information like this present in medical school textbooks to this day. So I guess what I was going to say was, um, there's a reason that they're killing Black women the way they are. And really powerful analogy that was given to me was that a Black woman in the delivery room in America is just like a Black man or a Black person being pulled over by the police at a traffic light.
Mm,
And when you look at the numbers,
mm.
there's just something going on here. People always say to me, why do you have to make everything about race? Can you talk about race a
'Cause
little
it
bit less?
is about race.
It is about race. You can't talk about anything in America without talking about race. But I think finally, after over 30 years of living here and being an American citizen now, I understand. I'm like, oh, it's intentional. I can't believe this. You
Did you
give
know what you were walking into at
no.
18?
Oh, at 18 when I came to go to college?
Yeah. Like the systemic racism in America?
I couldn't have imagined it. Even though as a little girl, when we didn't have cable and the only TV shows, American TV shows were like Roots and North and South. So for a
Yeah.
really long time, I thought all of America had slavery. Slavery really impacted me as a young child learning
Yeah.
about it. No, I could not have imagined it. And I definitely could not have believed that in healthcare, that in health, because a lot of the high profile Black women that die sometimes giving birth are the presidents of their own hospitals. You know, we've had really high profile cases like that. So,
Wow.
I mean, I had something else to say. I don't know what to say, but yeah, Black women. I mean, the Black experience in America, everything will always, go back to that. But that's another reason I think people have been able to be so dismissive of it. Oh, so well, this is a Black problem.
Mm,
Black people are welfare queens or they're uneducated. All these racist explanations are
mm.
not only false and incorrect, they're outdated, but they're going to try to bring them back. I'm like, oh, everything that's coming back. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
we dealt with this. Now I saw the other day that they're bringing cigarettes are coming back. Do you know
What
that?
do you mean? What do you
Like
mean
cigarettes.
cigarette?
It's like it's gonna be cool to smoke cigarettes again. And they're like handing them out at parties. And I'm like, cigarettes? We had dealt with cigarettes being bad for you.
Right. Didn't we deal with that in the 70s?
But it's a perfect example of where we are now because now it's like, is racism that bad? Did slavery really happen? So
Oh,
Now is actually I actually feel on my worst days, I know this deep in my heart that it's gonna be women's rage, women's
yeah,
anger. It's gonna show things.
agreed.
And I know that we're, like, all simmering, but I'm also like, "Don't forget, ladies, don't forget that you're really angry." And it's so personal. It is fucking personal. I have 2 American daughters that have less rights than I did growing up
Yeah.
in Bangladesh in the '80s and '90s. That is unacceptable to me.
Well, I think and it's not enough to be angry. You have to use the anger and the rage and the hysteria as fuel for action.
This well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is such an
Yeah.
important point, and I really want to get this out to your listeners. Take action, and it doesn't have to be huge. It
Right.
doesn't have to be you started Ms. Magazine and you're the next Gloria Steinem next week.
Right.
Get 3 or 4 women in your community together, in your neighborhood together, and oh my god, for Mother's Day, there's a new campaign that we're gonna try to give $100 to each mom's commissary fund so they can
Mm,
buy their kids clean water and stuff to eat in the detention
mm.
centers. They have a commissary, you have to pay for clean water, you have to pay for snacks. So just so these mothers on Mother's Day can give their kids
How can
something.
my listeners donate to that?
I'm gonna give you a whole bunch of resources
Okay.
because I just can we list the resources at the end
Yes.
of
We'll
the
list all the
episode?
resources in the podcast
Because
notes. But I mean, I
I
think you make a
do
really important point in that like action doesn't have to be big and splashy. Like what I will tell people is like go on to Planned Parenthood and do a $50 month
reoccurring
donation.
charge.
Just do a recurring thing. You won't even fucking notice it. Like,
And anything. I mean, initially, I hope this doesn't get me arrested, but I was really worried about the ICE crackdowns. Is I'm like, if I can just prevent one woman from the women that I know, um, not give birth in detention.
yeah,
And I just told my oh, I can't even speak. I was gonna call her my childhood nanny. My daughter's nanny. And I told the cleaners, I said, "You know anyone that gets pregnant?" I was like,
yeah,
"Bring them to me."
yeah,
I'm not gonna say this on air, but, there are a lot of women's health services that have gone underground,
yeah.
and they've had to. Look at Minnesota. Tell your listeners to look at Minnesota, whether you agree or not. When they had to go underground, moms were running that show, groceries,
Yes,
childcare,
yes.
warning your neighbors, do anything, patrol for ICE, and
We're
just
doing it here. One of my friends is tutoring, kids who are afraid whose parents don't wanna send them to school,
yeah. Well,
you
some
know?
teachers are taking in children whose parents have been taken and they just weren't picked up.
Yep,
So
yep.
don't think that you have to go to Washington and do them. No, please, everybody, whatever you can do, however you can do it, even if it's canceling these subscriptions. I know it's hard with Amazon, but let me just tell your listeners something
It's not that
else.
hard.
It's really not that hard. And by the way, you just see like these flat charges you're being paid. What I did recently after following a resist and unsubscribe online campaign was that I am paying like $1 here, $2 here every month, totaling in like $100 to all these extra channels that I don't even want through Amazon Prime. So
Yeah,
you don't
totally.
even know what you're paying for, and it's a lot of money. Okay, $10
Yeah,
every month from so many people.
yeah.
So do what you can, and then maybe after you start small, get a little bit bigger. You know, get a
Yes,
little bit bigger, and
yes.
then find somebody else that connects. Like Natty, I am gonna call my producer after this, and I'm like, I'm gonna work with this one.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
And that's what women do. I mean, that's another reason they don't want women to gather. We're not just gossiping, by the way. We're like
No,
networking, organizing. Oh my God, you got to talk to this person. It's incredible. So I just feel like
it is.
get get your anger out there and organize. Don't let your anger overwhelm you. And I'm saying this not like I've got it down because it's really hard, but once because there's so much to be angry about. I mean, the other day I
Yeah.
just cried. I cried. I am so scared.
But you know what? It's like when we do it together, like I have like when I go to a protest or I go volunteer at the local women's shelter, like I feel like I might be angry, pissed off, raging in my house, screaming, calling my friends, getting super pissed off. But then when you fuel that into action, there's joy there.
Oh, there's so much joy.
There is so much joy there.
So
So
much
it's not like
joy.
Like, we might be raging and angry here and like, "Argh!"
Yeah.
The minute you get me with another group of like activist women, we are dancing, we are
Yes.
hugging, we are like, it is actually unabashed joy.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing about rage. And we've been taught to just be so scared of our anger and our rage. That, as Soraya Shamali says in her incredible book, Rage Becomes Her, the
Love that book.
power. Love that book. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. She's actually a friend of mine. And even though we've been friends now for a little over a decade, I'm still a massive fangirl. So sometimes behind her back, I'm just like,
You can tell her I'm a fan too.
I think she's getting to a point where she's like, I can't hang out with Anushay anymore. She's too much of a fan. But yes, yes, get together, connect, and I really think that that is the only way. That's the only way it can happen. There
Yeah.
is so much joy in that, and also it really makes you realize that you are not alone.
No,
Which is so funny because I feel like I'm constantly trying to disprove this point in my work, but there's so many times where I feel alone in my work.
of
Just
course.
talked to one other person. The other day, it was the receptionist at my dentist who said
Mm,
the most feminist, pro-abortion thing to me. I don't even think she knows about my work, but I was like, she gave me such a fire. So you know, it's out there.
it's
It's
so
out
good.
there. It's
It
so
is out
good, and we
there.
need it. And it's an important point that you make. That it sounds like it's negative energy. That will just help get you going. The real energy is so positive. That's the magic. And that's it,
Exactly.
and you feel it, you feel it.
Yes, it's connective, it's community, it's collaboration, it's
Yeah.
using the rage, the energy, the anger, like to fuel something that's so fucking important that it's like, this is, I don't know, I'm all about community. I'm
I'm
all
all
about
about
like,
community, and I think something really good that's happening now is I hope we're gonna have a renaissance of the community because I think a lot of
yeah.
people are starting to rediscover the benefits of the community and not just being such an individualistic society like we are.
Well, it's the
I
only way we're going to reclaim our power. So,
It's
I
the
mean,
only way.
being angry in my bedroom isn't solving the problem.
Also, the best thing about getting women together, and this happened with my book too, is that we believe each other.
Mhm.
When we're talking, when we have that energy going, we believe each other. And it happened with my birth story. So long I kept it to myself. Then I started talking, and we're like, me too, me too. Then you see all these women raise their hands. That's why me too is so powerful. You're
Yeah.
not alone. It happened to me too.
Yeah.
You're not alone. My neighbor got abducted too. Like just all of that. We can apply that to so much energy. There's so much energy and magic. And can I tell you, the world is begging for
Screaming,
a restart. Another thing
screaming
about the
for it.
patriarchy is how unnatural it is that it requires so much force. How unnatural it is to separate families.
Yes. Yes.
And that is a women's health issue.
It
That is a
is.
reproductive rights issue. That's a mental health issue. That is a Mother's Day. That's what Mother's Day this year should be about. I don't know how people are going to celebrate with their brunch when we know how many mothers and children
Right?
are they're overpriced brunch.
Anushay.
Natty,
I'm like,
I know, I love you.
I'm like, get in here.
I know. Well, don't tell me you're on the West Coast.
No, I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston. Okay, that's far, but not bad. Okay, yay! Because sometimes I meet such cool people, and then they're like, "I live in Canada." I'm like, "I'm
No,
never gonna
no,
see
girl,
you."
this is an Amtrak ride. This is like 6 hours on the Amtrak.
My God, totally. Well, if you're ever down in DC or New York, you have to ping me.
Okay.
Listen, I love
Okay.
Boston.
This has been such an incredibly like enlivening, powerful conversation. This is so fun. I feel so connected to you and to your energy. You are a
Thank you.
fucking force. Is there
Thank you.
anything? Well, first of all, I want to tell everyone to listen to the podcast.
Yes, please let me do my promos.
Do your promo.
Please listen to the Pain Gap podcast, which is available everywhere you stream your favorite podcast. It is currently ranked in the top 10% of podcasts around the world, which is
Wow,
really important, you guys. This was my baby
so
little
important.
podcast. Baby podcast, low budget, no money podcast. And my Substack, please support my Substack. You can find me. I write Anushay's Point, anushay.substack.com. Don't make
Mm.
me spell out my name. Just take a guess and type it in Google. It'll come up.
We'll put the links in the show notes.
Also, it's pronounced exactly how it sounds. And I would like to quickly say that I didn't take my husband's last name, but his last name is Palavani, which is so long and complicated, and nobody has a problem with it. Everyone's like, "Oh, Shadpalava." They're like, I'm like, "Don't be in so much pain. Read the, read
Sound
the
it
pain
out.
gap. Sound it out." Thank you, Natty, for having me. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for being here. This is not the end of us. I can't wait for the next time.
Yes, I am emailing you now. I'm gonna buy my train ticket to Boston. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And thank you for all your work and the
Oh,
work that you do and your voice and everything you do to close the pain gap in women's health. Everything I was saying about white women, you're my dream white woman.
oh, don't make me
Everyone be
cry.
like Natty. Listeners be like
Oh,
Nasty. That's
thank you, love.
allyship.
Thank you, love.
Thank you so much.
I'm bringing the white women along with me.